Well, hello, Older Nation. We're back again, and I hope you will hear some of this. We'll find out in a minute. If not, I might have to be back to the drawing board. But at any rate, I am back. This is Bob Randall, not on your screen yet, but I will be in 1 second, and we will pick up New Day prayers, okay? And I am coming around. So hearing you just fine, Shelley says, that's good news. And we will we'll see if we can do this all over again or not. Hopefully we'll be okay. Okay. Let me get that turned off so that doesn't cause me interference as well. But we will we'll see if what we can do there. Okay. Good morning. I'm going to start all over because it's been 20 minutes since I started the last time. We're going to be reading New Day prayers and talking a little bit about Saint Cyprian of Carthage. And so beginning on page 103 in the Book of Common Prayer, I guess this is just proof that we need to have Gretchen around here. So here we go. O God, make speed to save us. O Lord, make haste to help us. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. Psalm 116. Beginning in verse 10. How shall I repay the Lord for all the good things he's done for me? I will lift up the cup of salvation and call upon the name of the Lord. I will fulfill my vows to the Lord in the presence of all his people. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his servants. O Lord, I am your servant. I am your servant and the child of your handmaid. You have freed me from my bonds. I will offer you the sacrifice of thanksgiving and call upon the name of the Lord. I will fulfill my vows to the Lord in the presence of all his people. In the courts of the Lord's house, in the midst of you, O Jerusalem. Hallelujah. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. The reading appointed for Saint Cyprian of Carthage begins in the book of James in the 4th chapter. Do not speak evil against one another, brothers and sisters. Whoever speaks evil against another or judges another speaks evil against the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you're not a doer of the law, but a judge. There is one lawgiver and judge who is able to save and to destroy. So then, who then are you to judge your neighbor? Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we'll go to such and such a town and spend a year there doing business and making money, yet you do not even know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wishes, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. Anyone then who knows the right thing to do and fails to do it commits sin. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. On this day, we are talking about Saint Cyprian of Carthage, who was born around the year 200 in this city in North Africa to pagan parents, and became a prominent trial lawyer and a teacher of rhetoric, so he knew how to argue. And he, around 246, he converted and became a Christian. And at that point, he was within 2 years appointed to be the bishop of Carthage. So he is a notable person for a number of reasons. Sometimes we forget, but in the early church, much of the most prominent saints and leaders of the early church were in North Africa and were African. And so today, a lot of the Episcopal churches that I know that are named after St. Cyprian are churches that started as historically black parishes, including one in our diocese up in Newport News. But in addition to that, Cyprian is known for being alive during one of the persecutions, being the bishop of Carthage during one of the worst of the persecutions in around the year 250 to early 250. And during that time, Cyprian, like a lot of the Christians during the persecutions, hid away, fled. And when he fled, he waited it out until the persecution was over and then came back out of hiding, and received a lot of condemnation from those in the church who stayed and maintained their Christian identity. And there was a great controversy in that period after the persecution of what do we do with those who were intimidated and fearful to the point where they denied their Christian identity. Because he was a bishop, he became a spokesperson in this debate. And the church became divided over whether they would be accepted back into the church at all after denying their faith, or whether they were had to go through a set of steps to be readmitted to faithful membership in the church, or whether they should be just completely ignored. And it was a legitimate kind of debate, but we have to remember that all of us at times, and even the disciples, were fearful at times. And so it wasn't a simple issue. All the disciples in the Garden of Gethsemane fled when Jesus had been arrested. So this debate went on and on. Cyprian argued that we are all subject to sin at times in our life, and sometimes we will fail, but that's not the end of the story. And so he argued that with some penance and probation, people ought to be readmitted into the full membership of the church, which became the winning argument, actually. But over this, a number of people quit and formed their own versions of Christianity for people who had not in any way ever faltered. And then later on, there was a whole set of debates about people who had formed heretical groups within the church, and including those who had failed this test of standing firm. Whether the baptisms that had been done in that part of the church, whether those people needed to be rebaptized. Cyprian argued that baptism was not necessary as another step of readmittance, but rather penance and probation, which would become the prominent way of understanding what baptism does for us and how we recover from our own sin. Cyprian became known as a bishop who had both grace and mercy as the primary speaking points of what he had lived through himself. He knew himself to be someone who was not perfect and in every way free of sin, but knew the grace and mercy of God as being the prominent feature of what it means to be a Christian. So after that, in the next persecution, interestingly, happened a number of years while Cyprian is still bishop, and this time, probably because of his own first experience, he stood firm, became a public spokesman for Christians during the persecution, was rounded up with a number of prominent Christians at the time, and with 48 others was martyred and lost his life in that time. Cyprian helps us think through the issues that we face and what do we do when we fall, when we fail. And his word was, accept God's grace and move back into the church, move back into those places where we can do our ministry and receive God's mercy. Not without recognition of the fact that sometimes that means we need to do penance, we need to do the work of reconciling and doing the work of fixing the problems that we may have caused while we were in a state of sin. So all these are important issues that continue to be debated and understood through experience oftentimes. So Cyprian is a really important person to know. So now when you go past the St. Cyprian's church, you'll know something about his witness in the church and what he might stand for. So we'll move on into our prayers. Lord, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Save us from the time of trial and deliver us from evil. Lord, hear our prayer and let our cry come to you. Blessed Savior, at this hour you hung upon the cross, stretching out your loving arms. Grant that all the peoples of the earth may look to you and be saved, for your tender mercy's sake. Amen. And we'll move into our prayers. If you have prayers to offer of intercession or thanksgiving, we invite you to name them silently aloud or typing them into Facebook where the community can join with you. On this day, we lift up Valerie Gurioli for continued healing, for Pearl Wendell for healing, and Annis Sudal, Steve Brown, Maureen Oliver, Dick Kressig, Steve Keck, Phyllis Aubrey, Margareta McGregor, Charlie Swift, Lisa Duff, Barbara Caffrey, Phil Lasher, Holly Payne, Jan Packard, Dave Jacques, Beck Saunders, Dick Bolin, Joan Gerace, Tony Succi, Pam Painter, Karen Intreri, Candy Berquist, Dick and Margaret Ullman, Sabrina Wade, Julius Ventura, Dave Wilkinson, Jen Morton, Cesar, Keith Jones, David Derber, Marina Robertson, Henry Vixilio, Betty and Branson Powell, Bill Gentry, Rick and Randy Williamson, Peter, Robert, Shannon Guillory, Joshua Bennett, Bunny and Sandy Bassett, Eric Bunch, Paul, Jennifer, Linda, and Dennis Quam. We pray for all others that we don't know, but ask your prayers for those who are in any need or trouble, including those that we have no idea about. We pray also for Gretchen Hood and her whole family as they sit vigil with Gretchen's mom up in Philadelphia, who is probably in her last couple of days. So we lift up Margaret especially, and Dick, and this whole family. And we also have some birthdays and anniversaries, and if I can get to them, I will. I had them just yesterday, so Monday it was. So today, on the 13th, it's Mal Higgins' birthday today. I saw him this morning and didn't wish him happy birthday. Well, happy birthday now, Mal. Tomorrow we'll have Courtney Pope, Abby Myers, Alyssa Smith, and Kara Hall. So good list of good folks for birthdays. And no anniversaries today or tomorrow, but we got a big one coming up on Friday for Jackie and Will Bennett. Saw Jackie on Sunday at 8 o'clock. So at any rate, I'm sorry for mumbling. I shouldn't do that. I thank you for your prayers and intercessions. Just a couple announcements. Tonight is our first in the Wednesday night programs that we've had for this series, starting for this fall. And tonight, Sacred Ground Circles are going to present some of the work that they've been doing, what Sacred Ground Circles are all about, why we do them, and what we've learned and what we are learning to do as a result, much as Cyprian learned from his own sin in his own life, how he could become a witness and do work in the church to restore things that he had done. We're learning a lot of that through Sacred Ground. So come and join us, 6 o'clock for supper, 6:30 for the program. It'll last about an hour. And then tomorrow we have Eucharist at 10 and Bible study at 11. We'll resume. On Saturday we have, no, not this Saturday, that's next Saturday. So at any rate, on Saturday, Dan Reese is doing a Faith Works project, doing home repairs. And I think he still needs a couple more people on Saturday morning from about 8:30. He'll be working until about 3:30. But if you can do any part of that section, he has some floor, laminated floor that he's laying, but also some painting that has to be done. So there's plenty of work to do, and if you can help Dan, call the office and we'll get you connected with Dan and his information, or it'll be in the chimes also. Sunday, our new service schedule continues. 8 o'clock, 2 services at 10:30, one in the church with the St. Cecilia Choir, one in the Great Hall with the gathering service with the gathering band, and a service at 5 o'clock. So all of those, and this Sunday we're having potluck lunch right after the 10:30 services. So about 11:30, if you're here, we'll have lunch in Tucker Hall and in the narthex. It's potluck, so we will serve fried chicken that the parish will supply, but bring your own best dish, whether it's an entree or dessert or side dishes. They're all appreciated. And other than that, I think I've probably forgotten 15 things, but your chimes will come out this afternoon, and please keep all of our folks in your prayer. Let us bless the Lord. Thanks be to God. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.